I remember the first time I noticed it clearly. Not in a dramatic way. No sad music. No slow motion moment. Just a plastic chair, a sweating bottle of soda, and a woman who absolutely should not have been giving anything away. I was sitting outside a tiny sari-sari store in a provincial town in the Philippines, the kind of place where the road is half concrete, half dust, and everyone knows who you are by day 3. I had just moved there, still very American in my thinking, still counting expenses in my head, still calculating value like life was a spreadsheet. The woman behind the store looked tired. Her flip-flops were worn thin, her hair tied up in a messy bun, and her store shelves were almost empty. A few canned sardines, instant noodles, sachets of shampoo, and some candies in a jar. Definitely not what I'd call doing well. A little boy came up, maybe 7 or 8 years old. He pointed at a popsicle in the freezer. 8, he said softly. She opened the freezer, took one out, handed it to him. He didn't give money. She didn't ask. He smiled, said thank you, and ran off. I waited. Maybe his mom would come back and pay. Maybe it was credit. Maybe this was a one-time thing. Nope. 10 minutes later, another kid. Same thing. Then an old man came by. He picked up a pack of cigarettes and told her he'd pay tomorrow. She smiled and said, "Okay, Lang." That's when my American brain started malfunctioning. "Okay, Lang, you don't even know if he'll come back. Your shelves are almost empty. You live in a house with a tin roof. Why are you giving things away?" I finally asked her carefully, because I didn't want to sound rude. "Aren't you worried?" I said. "About losing money?" She looked at me like I had just asked why the sky was blue. "If I have," she said, "I share." That was it, no speech. No explanation, just that. If I have, I share. That sentence haunted me in the best possible way. Because everywhere I went in the Philippines, I kept saying the same thing. People with very little somehow acting like they had plenty. Families living paycheck to paycheck, still finding room at the table for one more plate. Neighbors borrowing sugar and returning it with a smile and an extra joke. Tricycle drivers who would refuse payment if the ride was too short or if they thought you looked tired. I started noticing how different this was from what I grew up with. Back home in the US, generosity often comes after stability. After savings. After retirement plans. After emergency funds, we give when we feel safe. In the Philippines, people give even when they're not, especially when they're not. One time I got sick. Not hospital-level sick, but miserable enough to make you question your life choices. Fever, body aches, zero energy. I was staying in a small rented room, and I hadn't told anyone because, honestly, I didn't want to bother people. But somehow, word travels fast in Filipino towns. Probably faster than the internet. By afternoon, there was a knock on my door. A neighbor I barely knew stood there with a bowl of soup. "I heard you're sick," she said. "You need to eat." I tried to refuse. I really did. I said I was fine. I said she didn't need to trouble herself. She laughed. No, she said. "If you're sick, we help." Then she left before I could argue. An hour later, another knock. This time, fruit. Then ginger tea. Then advice from 3 different aunties on what I should and should not eat, wear, drink, and think about while sick. I didn't ask for any of this. They just showed up. And here's the thing. These weren't rich people. These were people who worked long hours, who worried about bills, who didn't have health insurance, who lived modest lives. Yet somehow, helping me didn't feel like a sacrifice to them. It felt normal. I started asking questions. Why do people share so much here? Why do families take in relatives for years without expecting rent? Why does everyone insist you eat, even when there's barely enough food? The answers were never simple, but they were always consistent. Family, community, history. In the Philippines, poverty isn't an abstract concept. It's lived. Generations of it. Colonization, war, natural disasters, corruption, and inequality shaped a society where people learned early on that survival isn't individual. It's collective. When typhoons hit, no one asks whose house is whose. People just help. When someone loses a job, neighbors share food. When there is a funeral, everyone contributes something, even if it's just time. Because one day, it might be you who needs help. This isn't charity, it's insurance. Emotional, social, human insurance. Back home, independence is the goal. Here, interdependence is the reality. I once asked a Filipino friend why people give so much even when they're struggling. He shrugged and said, "Because we know what it's like to have nothing." That sentence stayed with me too. Knowing what it's like to have nothing doesn't make people bitter here. It makes them empathetic. There's also something else I noticed. Generosity here isn't dramatic. It's not filmed. It's not posted online. It's quiet and constant. No one announces, "Look how kind I am." They just do it. A neighbor watches your kids while you're at work. A friend lends you money and never mentions it again. Someone pays your jeepney fare because they saw you fumbling with coins. And sometimes they'll even apologize for not giving more. That one really broke me. I was invited to a family gathering once, unplanned. I showed up late, embarrassed, empty-handed. They insisted I eat. The table was simple: rice, vegetables, a small dish of fish, soup stretched to feed everyone. The mother of the house said, "Sorry, this all we have. All we have." They'd given me their best. In American culture, we often associate generosity with abundance. You give when you're successful, when you've made it. In the Philippines, generosity is part of being human, not part of being wealthy. It's also deeply tied to values taught early in life. Children are raised hearing words like pakikisama, getting along with others, Bayanihan, community cooperation, and utang, loob, a deep sense of gratitude and obligation. These aren't just words, they're lived daily. If someone helps you, you remember. Not in a transactional way, but in a relational way. One day you'll help someone else, maybe not the same person. But the circle continues. I once watched a man who barely earned enough for the day give coins to someone asking for help. When I asked him why, he said, "Because today I have extra. The extra was maybe the cost of a cup of coffee." But to him, it mattered. Of course, this way of life isn't perfect. Poverty is still poverty. Generosity doesn't pay hospital bills. Kindness doesn't fix broken systems. Many Filipinos deserve far more than they have. But there's a quiet dignity in how people live despite it. They laugh easily. They joke during hardships. They sing when things are hard. They make food stretch. They make joy stretch even more. I realized something uncomfortable about myself too. I had more money than many of them, more security, more options. Yeah, I was more hesitant to give. I would think first, calculate, worry. They would just act. Living here changed how I see generosity. It's not about how much you give. It's about when you give. In the Philippines, people give when it's inconvenient. When it costs something, when it matters. That doesn't mean Filipinos are naive or careless. They're practical in many ways. But they value relationships over resources. Because resources come and go. People stay. One evening, I was leaving the town after living there for months. The sari-sari store woman was there again. Same plastic share, same tired smile. I thanked her for everything. For the snacks, the conversations, the kindness. She waved it off. "Nothing," she said. Nothing. To her, kindness wasn't something to be thanked for. It was just life. That's when it hit me fully. Filipinos aren't generous because they're poor. They're generous because they understand something many wealthy societies forget. Life is unpredictable. Money is temporary, but community is survival. And when you don't have much, you learn that sharing what little you have can make the world feel less heavy. That's not weakness. That's strength. And once you see it, really see it, you can't unsee it. You start to ask yourself a hard question. If people with so little can give so much, what excuse do the rest of us have?